Hello, let me just say I don't like either of you.
Well, that's understandable. Well, hello. And how the hell is your Friday night? Hey, I see Mowgli in the chat room. Hey, Mowgli, look. I am fighting the mind control menace right now. So I see there's people. There's Victor. I should have played Victor's wife's intro if I had seen Victor was in the chat room. I'll probably play it later. But anyway, it's Friday, and we've made it almost all the way through March. It is the 25th of March, and holy shit, we're still alive. We're still here, and we still are vaping and not smoking. So that's a good thing. That is an excellent thing. So Kevin sent me a message this week, and he said, I have something to do on Saturday, and I'm gonna run away at midnight. So we're gonna do something. We're gonna do something. Do something a little different than what we normally do, just because we can. Because this is our shit, and we can do whatever the fuck we want with it. But anyway, let me bring Kevin in.
You know what? I don't even like you. I'm not sure. Have we witnessed a confession, a concession, or admission of guilt this week at all?
Not that I no. Mm-mm.
Not yet. Okay, I'm just checking.
I don't believe that any of them will ever, on their deathbed, after they've profited from the deaths of millions of people, the alienation and continued torture of people that need help. They may, at the moment of of repentance, they may, so that they may be able to get past the pearly gates. They may indeed.
Well, you're making two assumptions. One,
forgiveness,
that they have a conscience.
No. Deathbed confessions are not made by people that have consciences. Those are people that know they fucking screwed people over, and at the last minute, so that they don't burn in a fiery, lake of in hell. They're like, please forgive me for all this bad shit that I did. That I feel sorry now, but I did profit for the entire length of my life on the backs and stuff.
Forgive me for a witch hunt that I helped create and sustain.
Yes,
and I don't want to burn myself.
Yeah. So we got some stuff to talk about, Kevin.
There's content.
We do have some content tonight. But one of the things I want to do is, we've done these. I have done. You always like try to skate out of like audience participation shows. Like you've.
Well, I like them better than you.
So what I'm going to do now, there's going to be there is some limitations and requirements. Mm-hmm. So if you want to come in and shoot the breeze with Kevin and I while we cover stuff, see, that's the important thing. We're here to cover stuff, and it might be nice to get your reactions to the stuff that we cover. Mm-hmm. If you would like to participate and have a phone or a computer with a camera, and you have a pair of headphones, then we will bring one of you in at a time. Please, per story, if there's interest, to participate in the coverage of this information. We've got widely varying stuff. There's FDA approving some stuff and disproving other stuff, and we've got talking about torturing kids again, because we have to talk about torturing kids. We have a rebuttal from Dr. Polosa about bad science. We have the American Council on Science and Health putting out an article talking about how there's another BS study that, after we covered the last 2 weeks, two different scientific studies disproving that there is an existence of a gateway from vaping to smoking for kids. Somebody put out a new BS study this week. So obviously the American Council on Smoking and Health, or on Science and Health, are going to tear it apart, and we're gonna enjoy reading their story about that. We're gonna talk about addiction. We've got a really cool video from an expert on what's his expert, Kevin? I have him here. He is an expert on addiction, stress, and childhood development. Things that we wonderfully talk about on this show. We found a new voice that we're going to add to ours. So we're all sorts of stuff. So if y'all have a camera and headphones and a microphone and want to come on, we will throw the link into the chat room. Now, if you come on and I hear an echo, I'm going to kick you out immediately. Just going to kick you out. Okay, that's how mean I am. And obviously, you're not staying around for the whole show. You're going to stay around for the length of one article. If it's a long article, you get to stay around longer. This is what it is. If nobody shows up, we're still going to talk about stuff. But,
them's the rules.
I'm offering the opportunity to hang out with Kevin and I. It may not actually be enticing to some people.
Chuckleheads are us.
Yeah. Somebody says echo, echo, echo. Oh, Raj wants me to kick him now, I guess. Oh, Ivana says that she's game.
I love Ivana.
Now, Ivana, you better have headphones because I don't want to kick anybody out.
She's a seasoned veteran of Zoom /
I know she is.
All that other.
So there is the link. So don't everybody jump in at once because I'm only bringing one of you in at a time. Because I can't keep you guys from talking over each other and shit. So Kevin, what did you do this week?
I watched the FDA approve some stuff, but not for kids because it's safer, but it's not safer for kids.
Well, it's not safe for. I mean, I know. I mean, it's hard to argue that point.
I'm doing what I can. I'm not shutting up.
Oh, look, Squirrel is already here. She jumped in faster than lightning. Faster than lightning. There's Ivana. Well, she doesn't have it already turned on. Oh, hello.
Yeah,
I have it on. I didn't. You were silent.
Oh, okay. I was letting you do the talking.
Oh, no. I do like to talk a lot. Don't get me wrong. But so I guess we'll start with this, the first one that was on the show notes. Ivana, do you know that the last 2 weeks, 2 different universities released studies that said there is no such thing as a vaping gateway?
Yes.
You did know that. Okay.
Oh, we antidotes knew it for a long time.
Oh, we knew it because, we're very intelligent people and we do our own personal research. But so the American Council on Science and Health, they promote science and debunking junk science. And they've been doing it since 1978. So I was 6 in 1978.
Okay.
But it says here, a new study employs some blatantly obvious sleight of hand to amplify the so-called teen vaping epidemic. Here's what you need to know. And this guy here, Cameron English, has written multiple wonderful pieces for American Council on Science and Health about vaping. But anyway, someone is losing an argument when they try to shift the topic of the debate. There is no better example than the public health establishment's foolish campaign against vaping. A case in point, a just published research letter in JAMA, the Journal for the American Medical Association, has found that e-cigarette use amongst adolescents may have countered some of the benefits of decades-long decline in teen smoking. The study was accompanied by the usual uncritical media coverage in major outlets like U.S. News and World Report. And here's a quote. It says, electronic cigarette use is driving a rise in the proportion of young people who try but fail to quit using nicotine. A new study indicates. Lead author, Richard Meich, a research professor at the University of Michigan's Institute for Social Research, says e-cigarettes are a potential threat to the progress made in recent decades in decreasing nicotine use among youth. This is nonsense, every word of it, and the study itself was no better. The misdirection began in the second sentence of the research letter. So this is from the actual research letter. It says, the prevalence of lifetime adolescent cigarette use has declined from 57% in 1997, the year before the Master Settlement Agreement of 1998, that prohibited marketing of cigarettes to children, to 16% in 2020. However, e-cigarette use among adolescents may have countered some of this decline in nicotine use and its potential effects on health. In case you missed the sleight of hand, the authors shifted from declines in cigarette smoking to decreases in nicotine use. So we've mentioned it on the show before, how a lot of the anti-smoking body part orgs are no longer anti-smoking orgs. Now they're moving to anti-nicotine. So Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, even though it says Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, their new mission statement is they're actually saying a nicotine-free future instead of a smoke-free future.
Tase everyone.
Oh,
so
we'll talk
so
about
no
tasing
more
later.
eggplant for them.
Well, I mean, I'm one of those people that I'm realistic, and I don't like to throw that out there because the level of nicotine in eggplants is
I
so
know that.
minuscule.
I know that. I know that.
And when we make silly little, arguments about that, even if we've never once in a hearing or in, any sort of serious manner. I mean, obviously there's people on Twitter that will tweet that. They're monitoring all of our social media. And when we make silly things, like last week in the opening statements of SRNT, was it SRNT? Yeah. Where Mitch Zeller showed the tweet of a company talking about moving to synthetic nicotine, and they said F the FDA. That gets shown out into the world, and I sort of want to push towards more of a professional and serious advocacy instead of like getting quoted as F the FDA in giant public forums like that. It does make us look bad. And the other thing is if you're in the vaping industry and you were doing that, why in the heck would you announce to the world that you're going through the loophole? Like, you should have went through the loophole and didn't say anything in public like that.
Yep.
Because because they spent like $22 million in the last 2 years watching us on social media. So when you go on social media and you with a very loud trumpet blare out, we're gonna here's the loophole and we're going through it. they're gonna cinch that loophole around your neck. And that's what they've done. But anyway, I see that they have a tweet of Charlie right here. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. Charlie's our friend. But anyway, in case you missed the sleight of hand, the author shifted from declines in cigarette smoking to decreases in nicotine use. This is misleading because most adolescent vapors were cigarette smokers who have transitioned away from a very dangerous product, combustible tobacco, to a far less harmful alternative in electronic cigarettes. ACSH opposes teen use of any nicotine product, but as I've argued previously, we have to be honest about what the data shows. Is it data or data?
Well, that's Ivana.
Anyone?
I say data.
I always say data, but some people say data. Anyway, complaining that e-cigarette use has countered the drop in teen smoking wrongly suggests that non-smoking adolescents are developing a nicotine addiction via vaping. This is false, inaccurate, incorrect, dishonest. Use whatever term suits you. The evidence does not support the teen vaping epidemic. Mythology perpetuated by public health researchers who should know better. According to the CDC's National Tobacco Youth Tobacco Survey, just 3% of teens vape daily, and the vast majority are former smokers. Only 1% are current e-cigarette users with no history of tobacco use, and overall teen vaping has declined 42% in the last year alone. Okay, so let's do some hypothetical math. So 3% of all teens, 3% of all teens,
3% of a gazillion
are vapey daily guys.
Yeah.
Now, only 1% of that 3% are people that never smoked. So you see this is a minuscule number of people. I'm not saying I'm not promoting teen vaping, period, teen nicotine, period, but to threaten the lives of 480,000 people in America alone for a tiny amount of youth use that you could, if you wanted to, you could attempt to find out why. I'm a big proponent of asking, why are these kids vaping or smoking? Right? All they do is they go straight for the stick. They don't ever try to offer the carrot. They don't want to find out. They don't want to know. They have no desire to check out or check into why these kids are using anything, whether they're smoking pot, they're shooting up, they're whatever. They're cutting themselves. Into the massive amount of teen depression, teen substance abuse, whatever. Are you sharing something, Kevin?
The Victor share screen. Yes, I am.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Use
the Victor share screen.
Just that Dr. Caleb says that this benefit outweighs the potential risk to young people. Mark Wise.
No. Read it out loud, Kevin.
Provided that, I'd have to go through this whole thread. The FDA continues to be concerned with young people using tobacco products, with the quotes, from us. The evidence demonstrates that these 8 products could help adult users switch completely or use significantly fewer cigarettes. The following tweet, provided the applicant follows the post-market requirements aimed at reducing youth exposure and access to these products, this benefit outweighs the potential risk to young people. The founder, no longer involved with, Mark Wise, who I adore, he asks a question in a different way than I did. I'm going to share his because I liked his better. What is the benefit standard of adults using these products versus youth use? Is it 4 adults to 1? What's the standard? I asked Caleb a different question, but it's the same. It's the same reworded. It's exactly the same to me.
And this is a question we've asked on this show. What is the measurement? Is it 1 kid for every 10,000? Is it 1 kid for 480,000? Because it seems like their math is if one child were to smoke a cigarette or to use an electronic cigarette, then their metric is that it's bad.
Ivana, how old were you when you started smoking regularly? Not the beginning, but when you said, "Oh boy, I'm a smoker."
16.
Patrick, you were what?
12.
I started at 9, but I'd say 13, 14, I was a pack a day. So at what age from the two of you would you consider an underage person to be a smoker? And what benefit would it have for a parent to walk in, buy this crap, and hand it to his kid.
So the question should be, though, Kevin, what is the definition of what makes a person, regardless of age, a smoker? If they smoke one cigarette a month, are they a smoker?
Right, habitual, right?
Or if they smoke one cigarette unregularly when going out to have a drink, are they therefore a smoker? Are they a kid who goes to a kegger in the woods and smokes a cigarette while partying with their friends in the woods? Are they a smoker? Because if it's not habitual, if it's not regular, where is that line? Because according to
what's the standard,
the people that we end up having to argue with on the internet, one child smoked once in a year on a National Youth Tobacco Survey. They can cook the numbers and say, well, that one cigarette makes that one kid a smoker. So
it's all in the wording, isn't it?
Until we reach some sort of definitional agreement on what that word means, and we've had arguments on the internet about what an addict is.
Sure.
With people that claim to be experts about what an addiction is, and they refuse to acknowledge what used to be the accepted definition of addiction. If you watch Father Jack Kearney's video, who was an addiction counselor and specialist, he did a very great definition and explanation of the difference between being an addict, being addicted to something, and being dependent on something. There is a difference, but now we're fighting with these experts and they no longer put any, if Ivana gets up every morning and can't operate in a regular manner, but until she, there are people like me who get up every morning, get my first cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Then I'm okay. Right. And I say, oh, I'm addicted to coffee, which is hyperbole. It's just something that people say. Or, our very good friend Chris will come into the chat room and say that he's addicted to chocolate. And now that word no longer means what it should, because it's been put into the the zeitgeist and popular language now. So until we get scientists to actually admit to what addiction is, it's nonsense,
yeah, well, addiction means dependency plus harm.
Yes.
And job loss and family issues.
Well, that's harm. That's all different versions of harm.
A lot bigger spectrum of things than just you're addicted, you should stop.
Oh, well, you use something over and over again that does no harm, you're an addict.
You increase tolerance. That's
most of us, not all of us, but some people choose to actually reduce the amount of nicotine in their bodies by titrating themselves down to a comfortable level. There are people like me who found a happy level and have no desire ever to go below that level.
Right.
I know that Kevin is like 18 or 12 sometimes maybe, and I'm at 12
cups a day.
And I know people that still use freebase nicotine at 36 and have been for a decade, and that's what they want. So
that's okay.
There's not a damn thing wrong with that, because A, it's not hurting them, and it's not hurting the people around them. It helps them operate in a world that we all need help operating in. So I don't get it. I don't get the alienation. Wow. I don't get the demonization.
Was I in the camera?
No.
So
He can be on camera. We don't care.
I've got the Victor share screen, and I'll ask Ivana, our guest, who's been a guest before. This is the approach. I thought she had. I think she has.
She's been on before.
Yeah,
I'll whoop him in a minute. I thought. My question to Bob for the same thing a few minutes ago with Mark. I'll read it again for the listeners. While FDA continues to be concerned with young people using tobacco products, the evidence demonstrates these 8 products could help adult users switch completely or significantly fewer. My question, worded differently, all respect to Mark, is your position that harm reduction and reducing the risk of exposure to harmful and potentially harmful toxins is unnecessary and invalid for anyone under 21, Bob? Can you then define the age a person who smokes is considered a smoker? And I'm using, now I remember.
Thomas J. Miller. Yeah.
That's right. Attorney General of Iowa, who was originally part of the original MSA.
You couldn't remember his name last week.
I know I couldn't, and I was so mad and embarrassed. His statement in 2017 or 18 to Gottlieb was, the most intensive adolescent e-cigarette users are far more likely to also be smokers. They may potentially benefit from e-cigarette use. There's no ethical basis for ignoring public health harm reduction benefits to those under 18. So who's wrong?
So I have a question, Kat. Scroll back to the top of that, of your response. Right there. No, of your response. Right there. So is your position that harm reduction and reducing the risk of exposure to harmful and potentially harmful toxins? So if anybody, because, those of us who pay attention, and y'all in the chat room and Ivana, we all pay attention. So there's this product called the IQOS.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So IQOS got approved. They got their, I shouldn't say approved. They got authorized to market their products. So they have received market authorization. Now they're in some legal limbo. They're in court right now. But anyway, their product received authorization, and the company that produces that product put forth an MRTP, a modified risk tobacco product application.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they received a what's it called? An authorization with limits. Now, their authorization with limits, which means that that product has been approved and are authorized, and it has been stipulated that product can make modified risk claims that are almost exactly what you said. So
I know that
they can't make they can't make the claim that this helps you quit smoking. They can't make the claim that this product, well, actually, they can say that it is a modified risk. So the modified risk that they are allowed to market their product is that it reduces exposure to harmful and potentially harmful toxins. Mm-hmm. So FDA has already admitted, now this is not a vaping product, but it is a reduced harm product. It is the same thing. They have produced a product that outgasses or lets off, or whatever you want to call it, fewer chemicals than a regular cigarette. And they have received authorization to make those claims, reduced impact or reduced exposure claims. So we have a product that they admit doesn't have as many constituents, doesn't have as many outgasses or any production of any bad harmful chemicals. So they've already admitted that this product they've approved. So it doesn't make any sense to me that they approve this product. And the only reason that other than the fact that Altria has lots of fucking money and can spend bukus of money on their PMTA, this is a definite pay to play league that we're in here. But the only reason that product got approved, in my opinion, or received authorization is the exorbitant expense to start.
Mm-hmm.
So to buy an IQOS and to buy the heat sticks that go in the IQOS, there is an exorbitant cost associated with that. If they were cheaper and more readily available in every C-store in the United States, they may not have gotten approved. But they figured no kid is going to spend $250 to start out.
It's the same here. They're quite more expensive.
Oh yeah, they're very expensive. As far as I've not seen them being cheap anywhere, except in China. But everything's.
But that's what they're allowed there, and it's still reduced risk, and that's what matters.
Right. And I'm not going to poop on IQOS. If I had found IQOS before I found vaping, as much as I like tobacco, I probably would be over here right now on a heat stick.
I think my son may end up using it once we see it here.
Well, I know somebody that's in Europe right now who's doing some work. He promised to bring me one.
Oh yeah, okay.
I don't know that he will. He forgets sometimes, But I don't want to nag people when they make promises, but
Risk
but anyway,
reduction, harm reduction, the right to health is even who says there's no age limit to the right.
Who says lots of nonsense that they don't actually believe.
Allegedly.
Who? Anyway, let's see. According to the CDC's National Youth Tobacco Survey, we already did this. 3%, blah, blah, blah. Overall, teen vaping has declined 42% in the last year alone. Keep those numbers in mind as we move forward. So, Charlie, he tweets here. This is a photograph of a Charlie tweet. It says, high school smoking dropped 90% over the last 10 years, 3 times faster than the previous decade. Young adult smoking has plummeted, and then there's a little graph, and it's a pretty good up and down a little bit here and there, but mostly from left to right. It's a diagonal red line all the way from 15.8% in 2011 to 1.9% in 2021. If you're not already following Charles Gardner, I don't know what I don't, I would tell people to follow him, but I'm assuming that most people have. So back to the research letter. So this is a quote. Analysis centered on the questions: have you ever tried to stop smoking cigarettes and found that you could not? Among ever smokers asked between 1997 and 2020. And have you ever tried to stop nicotine and found that you could not? Among ever e-cigarette users asked in 2020 only, response categories were yes or no. Based on responses to these survey questions, a variable was coded identifying a failed quit attempt for either combustible cigarettes or e-cigarettes. So they went through all of the data from 1997 to 2020. This question has varied slightly over those times, but it's usually a yes or no. And so what they're doing is that they went in, they got a bot, wrote an algorithm to go through all of the surveys to compare these two. And like I said, there was a variable was coded identifying a failed quit attempt for either combustible cigarettes or e-cigarettes. So it says here, my colleague, Dr. Chuck Dinerstein, employs the term math magic when dissecting questionable epidemiological studies. The above paragraph contains the raw material for mathematical calculations because a 2-question survey cannot possibly provide a realistic assessment of anyone's behavior, especially that of a teenagers who are known to misreport information related on their risky habits. No advanced statistical footwork can compensate for flawed data. So there are multiple questions that I have to ask patients when assessing mental health. And there's literally like 112 questions on the form that I don't do it all at once. I do it over multiple visits while conversing with them. I'll pop in a question, I'll write it down. I'll pop in a question, I'll write it down. And at the end of a 2-week first couple visits, we will then have the assessment, because nobody, especially if they have a touch of dementia, is going to sit down long enough to answer 112 questions. But it does give you a good starting point for, mental health. The same thing with this. We're going to talk about trauma during youth later on. And a lot of times, I'm going to take this off screen so that I can look you guys eye to eye when I say this. A lot of time, I don't know if you know this or not, but people tend to bury childhood trauma and childhood things. And when you ask them questions about it, they typically do not answer the way you think they should, or the way they normally would if they were not in denial. Right. So, and then obviously, as our friend David Gerlitz has said many times, he was there when these questionnaires were passed around, and you could read the kids' body language, and they're chuckling. Oh, we're just gonna put anything in here. Yeah. So, this is nonsense.
All the Patricks in the back were answering it at exactly the same time with
I never answered any of those questions.
I never had the test either. But...
It's none of their damn business. So this kind of inept, poorly designed science. When talking about surveys, I really don't even like to use the word science, because that's usually sociological, and that's not really a science.
Social political.
It's a study. It's just a study, isn't it?
It's a survey.
Oh, okay.
It's not even a study. There's no experiment. This is it's just them asking questions to millions of kids all over the country. Not even millions of kids. It's like a couple thousand kids in each zip code.
Point Diggity says it's okay for kids to answer anecdotal questions, but it's not okay for adults to answer anecdotal questions. These are important.
Well, no, everything is an anecdote until they want to use it as science.
Right. I can't remember the exact Twitter handle, but Point Diggity is all I can think of.
Who is Point Diggity? I don't know that one.
He's got a Twitter that goes like this.
Hot
Johanna, what's your reaction to this content? I don't want to sway your mind.
Who?
Huh? What?
Victor, I just clicked over to Facebook, and Victor had sent me an instant message of something that has been shared and reshared all over our circles like 1 billion times today.
Uh-oh.
Like we weren't going to talk about that.
Uh-oh.
But not yet. We're not to the tasing high school kids yet. That's later. We got to build up to the taser. You just can't drop the taser at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, I watched your other one, the beginning of it with the strip shirts thing, and was trying not to chuckle.
Well, there was one. So here's the thing about that. We can talk about strip searches real quick. Oh, you're talking about the intro last week?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I purposefully found, I didn't take me very much looking to find, that is an actual training video.
Oh, wow.
For prison guards.
Okay.
On how to conduct a strip search in prison.
Oh, okay.
So it is from like the 80s. It looks like there's a voiceover of an instructor teaching the student on how to conduct a strip search in prison. But since we had covered strip searches for like 3 or 4 weeks prior to that, and there was an update last week on that same story, it seems like strip searches are going to be pretty regular, because there was one in Montreal where a young man was asked to take his pants off and open his underwear so that a principal for a vape device.
You're kidding?
No, that was like 2 months ago.
Oh, crap.
And then there's been Stories from New Zealand of principals poking their camera phone under the stall door while girls are in the bathroom, and the principal used the excuse that we were looking to see if they're in there vaping.
I'm sorry, perv.
Locking up bathrooms.
Yes, no, taking the doors off of bathrooms.
Yeah.
And now tonight we have another story of schools putting sensors, which I don't care about sensors, but spending millions of dollars hiring staff to monitor the bathrooms.
Because
we're going to talk about that later. That's just a sneak peek of later.
It's a tease. Look at her reaction.
I'm sure she's a mother.
She's the most normal person I know. Who? It is disgusting. It
is horribly disgusting. So we wonder why we have a mental health epidemic in American youth and in youth in other countries. Dr. Glover, when she was on the show, not last time, but the time before, she's talking about her daughter coming home and talking about one of the kids in the class had committed suicide. And, oh, by the way, she wasn't even on the suicide watch list. It was, and I'm like, the school has a suicide watch list? What? So
not even
apparently, obviously it's not new news, but yes, we have a mental health crisis going on here and in other places.
No, around the globe, probably.
We should be addressing, instead of when you I've been saying this, if you find your kid vaping or smoking, it's time to sit down and have a talk with them.
It is. And Ivana,
don't immediately pull your belt off. That's what my parents would have done. Well, first, my parents would have made me smoke a whole pack all at once and then pulled the belt out. I'm not promoting the belt. I'm just saying.
Children increase their intake when they're caught. So Ivana had in Canada, a 15-year-old child died. One of my worst blogs that I had to write ever. And the narrative is it's nicotine. He had a stroke or a brain aneurysm. Yeah. I can't remember exactly.
In BC.
That is part of this narrative. So tasing, bathrooms, pictures of kids under stalls, all this bullshit is a narrative they've given, and they have no responsibility for the end result. This is the end result. And it's idiotic.
Yeah.
But they're not accountable.
Well, here's the thing about the kid in Canada that died. So this is, I do blame the clinicians. I do blame the doctors. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
misdiagnosis, period.
But, well, not only that, but the doctors have gotten to the point where they've read into all this nonsense that's being spread around, all this misinformation, all that. I mean, again, 80% of doctors in the United States and across the globe believe that nicotine causes cancer because of stupidity and misinformation and hyperbole and lack of what you learned in school, or forgetting what you learned in school.
Yeah.
But the nonsense propaganda fear machine that has been churning out bullshit for a decade has them brainwashed into immediately saying, oh, well, that vape, the kid vapes, oh, it's his fault. It's the vape. Let's blame the vape for everything.
Yeah.
For example, I'll throw this out here. You got a kid who's been abused his whole life, suffering from severe depression, commits suicide. In his pocket, they find a vape pen. Oh, he committed suicide because of the vape pen.
Yeah.
So, if I was driving down the road and there's a vape in my cup holder and a semi-truck T-bones me on the freeway, the accident was caused by the vape device in my cup holder.
Absolutely. I would actually agree with that.
That would be the headline.
Literal. Yeah, it's literal. So,
you know,
in looking back on the so far conversation, then tasing is caused by vaping, right? Or is vaping caused by tasing?
well,
Does it like to be tased?
No. Here's the thing. So when that kid got tased, he probably let go of his bladder and urinated himself. So now vaping causes uncontrollable urination.
There you go. Because who among us doesn't enjoy watching a kid smack his fucking head on the sidewalk?
As long as it's not my kid.
What was that?
That was a very loud yelp.
So all I know is
somebody might have hit their head on the pavement.
It's beyond acceptable for them to bring a narrative and then just sit back and go, hee.
Look what we did,
bastards.
Let's pat ourselves on the back. Look how awesome we are.
Uh-oh. Mike's in the room.
I'm gonna pre-rub this. Okay. I'm not gonna make Yolanda leave or Ivana leave. Yolanda's in the chat room, by the way. We're gonna move on to the second article. I said one article, but nobody else is braved up and popped in. So
okay.
Ivana can stay.
Oh, yay me.
So CoEHAR, this is a pretty prestigious research group. They expose for the first time that most e-cigarette use is flawed and in need of urgent critical reform. Now, Pippa wants to know, does my itchy bum get caused by worms or my vape? Well, that depends on many factors. You know, hygiene. Are you vaping? In your bum?
No, you're reminding me of Cora questions. No. Oh.
So we have another Canadian backstage who just popped in. So we're going to have a second Canadian on screen. I'm going to break my own rules because I said only one person at a time, but I already promised Ivana she could stay a little bit longer. So let's welcome David Lloyd, who has been in the chat room for a while, but has never braved the
Breaking Bad
stream.
guy. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Sorry, they cracked me up with the worm question.
That was Pippa. That was not me.
Pippa, yeah.
Pippa did that. That's one of those crazy Aussies. You just have to, trust the Aussies sometimes, but sometimes don't. But anyway, we're talking about CoEHAR, and they've released some research. They've done some critical analysis and are now saying that most e-cigarette research is flawed and in need of critical reform. So it says, under the leadership of CoEHAR, and I'm probably not saying it right, but that's how I'm going to say it. A team of international researchers examined the 24 most frequently cited vaping studies published in medical journals. The findings are shocking. Almost all of these studies were found to be methodologically flawed, which we've probably pointed out that they're using the hardware beyond the human level of usage, or they dry burned it or whatever. But anyway, they lack a clear hypothesis, used inadequate methodology, failed to collect data relevant to the study objectives, and did not correct for obvious confounding factors. So CoEHAR, David's loud with his sucking on his vape over there. Suck more quietly, Dave. CoEHAR exposes for the first time that most I just read that. So anyway, and this is Riccardo Polosa. He's awesome. I would love to get him on the show.
Riccardo.
Errors are very common in e-cigarette research, resulting in misinformation, distortion of scientific truth. What are the most common flaws in e-cigarette research? Under the leadership of CoEHAR, a team of international researchers examined the 20. Is this just a repeat? Yes, it is. So, okay, we're going to go here. This is a link to the PDF. But anyway, scientific research findings must be methodologically valid and sound in order for public health policies to be implemented. Current e-cigarette and heated tobacco product research is widely acknowledged to be poorly designed, conducted, and interpreted. As a result, it is impossible to generate balanced and accurate information for the adoption of more effective tobacco control policies and healthier lifestyles. The dissemination of inaccurate information about combustion-free alternatives in the news media contributes to public skepticism and uncertainty, particularly among smokers. Many smokers may be discouraged from switching to less harmful nicotine delivery products as a result of this. So there's a group of all these people. But anyway, let's go to the study. This is a PDF of the study. Boom. I hate these freaking things. All right. So down here, let's see. We're not going to read the abstract. We're not going to read the methods. This is how they conducted their research.
Google Scholar. Okay.
So it says here, we used the Google Scholar search engine on the 30th of November of 2020 to obtain the most popular journal articles on vaping research. We used the Google algorithm definition of popular, the articles most read, most cited in other literature and policy discussions. We searched behavioral human subjects research on causal claims related to vaping. Specifically, we ran the search string e-cigarette or electronic cigarette or vaping or electronic nicotine delivery system. One researcher stepped through the articles in order to search results ranking and identified the 10 most frequently cited articles in each of the following topics. The first one, the effects of vaping on smoking cessation and reduction. 2, the effects of vaping on smoking initiation. 3, the health outcomes associated with vaping. A second researcher reviewed the 10 identified studies for inclusion. Disagreements between the two reviewers were resolved by consensus or by a decision of a third reviewer, and additional studies were stepped through until 10 agreed upon studies were identified. We acknowledge that alternative methods exist to define popular and to identify vaping literature, such as a PubMed search. However, we use the Google Scholar algorithm for the purpose of this paper because it better reflects the search methods used by policymakers, advocacy groups, healthcare providers, and patient populations. So basically, one researcher went through, did their Google search, found the 10 most linked articles from initial research through quoting, through citing, so forth and so on, found the 10 most commonly cited studies, and then researched the methods in those studies to verify whether the study was good science, bad science, so forth and so on, and whether the experiment was conducted in a realistic and scientific manner. So here's the question criteria. Did the study clearly describe the method of investigating causal pathways? Scientific standards require researchers to specify a causal hypothesis and describe a study design and data collection methods to investigate that hypothesis. So when we did what's the word that you like, Kevin?
Data?
Modal verbs?
Well, modal verbs, but
Cognitive dissonance?
no, there's another one. We play a video for it all the time.
I don't know. I need
Conclusion bias, maybe? Confirmation
bias. Confirmation bias, yes.
So if the study looks like it was adjusted to reach a certain conclusion, that is one of the criteria for being kicked out. Or not kicked out, but included as a bad science. If researchers merely discuss a causal association and present statistical data without establishing causation, we highlight that deficiency. 2, were the study design and research methods sufficiently robust to control for confounding factors? So confounding factors are factors that confound you, right? Do the results support the stated conclusions without overstatement? And do the researchers present language or data that is misleading or fail to acknowledge the significant limitations of their design? While many included papers contain idiosyncratic problems, We did not address such flaws as they fell beyond the scope of our analysis. Instead, we highlighted the themes of common flaws that warrant focused attention that will guide future researchers, or let's hope. Okay. One researcher then grouped the studies according to whether they addressed the effects of vaping on smoking cessation or reduction, the effects of vaping on smoking initiation, or of vaping on health outcomes. A second researcher critically appraised the studies and reported on each study, presenting strengths and limitations, which were discussed with other researchers until a consensus was reached on each. We already said that. Okay. So here's figure 1. It says a causal relationship between an exposure, example, tobacco, and a health outcome, example, cancer, may be identified if the exposure preceded the outcome and the outcome would not have occurred in the absence of the exposure. So, for example, there was a scientist that we don't like. He produced a paper that said that people that vape have a higher risk of heart attacks. So he did this causal relationship nonsense, except he didn't follow the rule that the exposure had to precede the outcome, because obviously a good percentage of people that had the heart attacks had them before they started vaping. But he made the claim that vaping caused their heart attacks, even though they hadn't started vaping when they had the heart attack. So counterfactual. Researchers often conduct retrospective observational studies in which both the exposure and the outcome have already occurred, and changing the variable is no longer possible. So old data that they can't really, dig down into. Counterfactual methods assess for causal relationships by exploring how the health of individuals in a cohort may be different if the exposure was absent. So, again, without all of the information, they're making conclusions without all of the information. Researchers often use study designs comparing two groups of people such that identify in group A are exposed to suspected causative agent, example, tobacco, are exposed to a suspected causative agent, e.g., tobacco, and individuals in group B are not. If the health outcomes for the two groups are different, significantly more individuals in group A than group B develop lung cancer, researchers may infer that the exposure is causing the outcome. Notably, research scenarios study the participants often have many variables. So, again, if you have two large groups of people, you divide the smokers or vapors into one group and the non-smokers and vapors into one group, and some people over here get cancer and some of the people over here don't. Well, it has to be the cigarettes, because they're only counting those two exposures, or that one exposure in this case, nicotine or smoking. But there are many other factors that you must take into your math when doing this, that they maybe work near asbestos plants, or all sorts of other things that cause cancer.
Family hereditary.
Yeah, tons of stuff.
The other?
So overly simplistic design is basically that. So then the confounding factors that complicate the task of determining causation in research, are called confounding. So factors that are not expected, that completely fuck up the study. So without planning ahead for those things, your study's shit. So in some research studies, the exposures and outcomes may both be present. So you have group A and group B. A bunch of people in group A get cancer, a bunch of people in group B get cancer, and you didn't account for everything. For example, study participants who use tobacco exposure may also drink coffee, reside in an urban setting, and be aged over 40. The three potential confounding factors here are coffee consumption, urban residence, and age. So you got they don't often account for all those things. So here's the results. We'll dig through these real fast, because this is taking a long time. The 24 articles identified by our search methods are listed in Table 1. and then there's links to all of them. Many papers purported to be scientific literature contained only subjective information, which is opinions. Exclusions included approximately 28% of the research results that were about cannabinoid vaping, EVALI, and other cannabis use, and approximately 33% of the search results that were just case studies. The majority of papers devoted their focus to either smoking cessation or initiation, not both. Such articles are designed to be one category accordingly, even if the article contains secondary discussion of the other topic. One paper included a substantial analysis of both smoking cessation and smoking initiation and is addressed in both sections, table 1, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so they're basically saying that most of the most popular research into vaping and e-cigarettes has a lot of flaws that need to be addressed. Now, I just saw the word sexual activity, so now I just got to read what this is about.
Shiny object.
Well, sexual activity would be a shiny object. But anyway, it's like the SRNT guys, the 15, really smart guys that were in tobacco control that spent their entire careers fighting tobacco, decide, oh, you know what? We need to step outside of our circle. And guess what happened? They wrote a big fancy letter. It went public. Nobody cared. This is a paper criticizing the 10 most popularly cited scientific studies on vaping, and nobody's going to listen. At least that's my opinion. What do you think?
Are you even surprised? You can't be.
I am never surprised. But I do like to show everyone so that they can possibly use this as ammunition. I don't always want to be negative. It would be nice to get a win periodically. But I also am realistic and understand. I mean, after doing this for 11 years, it is what it is. It sucks, but it is what it is. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep doing what I want to do. I got plenty of wind in my sails and gas in my butt and ready to go. Hey, I got a new shirt.
Oh, nice.
Like the Mind Control Menace.
Yeah.
I'm with Rog. I want a time machine.
I want a time machine?
Yeah. But I want to go back 20 years and bring the technology with me.
Well, I have plenty. I have at least maybe 6 years worth of nicotine. And that's allowing for some of it to be given to other people. Mm-hmm. Because,
that's good.
I'm not willing to let other people. Now, there will be a limit. There is a limit. I don't know what it is yet, but there might be. But the place that I buy my Nick, they still have it. So I might buy another jug this week.
That's good. We're stuck with 20 meg. That's our limit, even if you DIY.
See, it's not going to affect most of us. It's going to affect the people that want to quit smoking.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect the people that, let's say, use disposables or something along those lines. Patrick's going to 6 years. Ivana, I'm sure you have
8
years as well.
Almost eight.
And you will know that I have repeatedly said on this show, those people that say, well, I got nicotine for myself, so I'm good. Those are the, ass end of the vaping community. We have already laid the groundwork for a Silk Road type of thing for but the problem is that doesn't mass convert people. You know,
Exactly.
I didn't watch it, so I'm not criticizing, but I saw Casal last week had Wayne and Jennifer on the show talking about DIY, and the name of the show was "Will DIY Save Vaping?" No, it absolutely will not. I didn't watch the show, so I don't know what their conclusion was. I'm just going to tell you, we will never convert mass numbers of smokers with a black market DIY. It will not happen.
No, it won't happen. No, it won't. I agree there.
Fully. I mean, we've done a piss poor job mass converting smokers since 2016 already. Mm-hmm. Because we fucking marketed to the vapor instead of marketing to the smoker.
Yeah.
I've been hypercritical of the industry. My friends in the industry know my feelings on the matter. When they stopped producing anything above 6 milligram, they effectively threw fucking smokers under the bus. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. Sub-ohm tanks and those things, the vaping experience in a sub-ohm tank is not the same thing as vaping a Nautilus with 18 milligram. It is not the same.
Yeah.
And the Nautilus or the Zenith with 18 milligram or 12 milligram.
I'm really old school. I had EVODs. I still have them.
EVODs? I started when I started, we had to use blue foam and fucking triangle tea bags and make our own or rebuild our own cartomizers. So, and you know, we converted something like 11 million people with what most people today would consider to be outdated technology. Everybody keeps saying that's obsolete, that's outdated, that doesn't work, blah 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 blah. But we converted somewhere between 10 and 11 million
I stopped
vapors.
Smoking with this.
Yeah.
With this simple little thing.
Yeah.
24 milligrams.
Love you still have it.
And
yep.
You know, I've rebuilt the coils for them. Very big magnifying lens. It helps.
I have a rebuildable.
Gotta have one of these.
Nautilus. I actually have a rebuildable Nautilus, but I can't build the like my trifocals and the little screw heads for the positive and negative are so small. I can't do it.
This one lights up on me. I plug it in somewhere. I don't know. It's like a computer soldering kind of kit thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it works. Whatever works. But yes, I'm sorry to say that it's not. So the number one factor of whether somebody's going to quit smoking, it is not the technology. It's not. It is the desire for them to quit smoking.
Oh yeah, big time.
Pippa, you're the only one in Facebook. Come to the YouTube channel.
Also, I mean, we have to change the message that the media is putting forward. We have to undemonize nicotine. Nicotine has to be reinvented as a positive, not a negative. I know. It's easy to say, impossible to do.
I approached the national organization months ago and said exactly what you said. We've spent a year and a half on this show on that topic, destigmatizing nicotine, explaining that nicotine is beneficial, explaining that nicotine is not the devil.
Yeah.
Had scientists on the fucking show, did science right here on the show with a molecule of nicotine, all of that. Went to them and said, you need to quit fighting for e-liquid. You need to start fighting for nicotine. Explain, bring some scientists. Bring the scientists out and say, all the shit that you know about nicotine is false. And I'm going to teach you all the good things about nicotine. And they said, no, we couldn't do that. I'll give you the serious look.
Yeah, no, I know. When something is
But they
trendy,
just want to
it's
keep
impossible to change opinion.
They're just going to keep doing the same thing that they've been doing for 10 years and losing. I'm going to say it straight. You have been fighting this war for 10 years, and you've been doing the same thing for 10 years, and you've lost for 10 years. Try something new.
Why don't you adopt the tactics that the ants are using? Use hyperbole against them.
Well, see, their hyperbole, they can bring out a PhD. They can bring out a respected old man who, even though he has been caught stealing research from his students and for trying to cop a feel from his students, they still trot him out and people love him. I don't know why. So we have to have money, and I'm not saying we because I'm not in the industry. I'm just a dude that vapes, that has opinions.
I have pennies.
No, but everyone's talking about needing a Bloomberg on our side.
That's never going to fucking happen. Anytime I hear, well, we need to get these Hollywood types that vape to step up and talk about it, your head is up your fucking ass. If you think that you're the first person that thought of that, and it hasn't been attempted. I mean, we've been doing this for 10 years. We reached out to publicists. We reached out to managers of people, and they're not willing to do it. There's no profit in it for them when they are, filming movies in Hollywood, and they're politically left-leaning, and most of the people that they would be arguing against are their allies. They're not going to pick up this topic. And it's just not sexy. So they're not doing it. Guys like Forbes have made really great videos about vaping, but he's not going to sink millions into this. This is not something he's going to spend more than 5 minutes on every couple months because he wants to make sure that his face is out there on a video. Bloomberg is the one billionaire that has a fucking bug up his ass and wants to spend $700 million a year globally on this topic, in addition to all the other topics that he puts money in, because he just wants to use his money to take control over the world. Yep. You're not going to find many billionaires that are willing to blow their money on something that they're really not passionate about. No. He, on the other hand, is the one guy who wants to figure out ways to take control of the world. That's why he's on the shirt. But, yeah, we have to quit asking other people to pay for this. If you're in the industry, I'm speaking to you. You need to pay to defend your industry. You don't need to ask other people to defend the industry. You should be putting your fucking money into saving your industry, your business. Period. Are you going to pay back the consumers that throw money into the hat after your business is saved? I don't believe you will. You need to pay to protect your industry. Period. It should not be a consumer. Consumer money should be used by me buying your liquid. Right? Mm-hmm. That's how it should be done. I buy your shit. You take some of the money from the purchase of that shit to protect your industry. You shouldn't be asking us for anything to protect your business.
Nope.
Period. Unless you're going to hire me and give me money if you win.
Yep.
There's been instances where it's been a essentially at the beginning was bringing in the consumers, and Demi on one of those was like no, and I had said it as well, and I was like, finally somebody else is saying something because I'm the asshole. I was blocked from groups for it.
I mean, if you're going to so here's the thing. If you want consumers to pay to fight to protect your livelihood, then you should give them free product for life. I mean,
yeah, but that's being sponsored by
No, I know. I'm just saying though. You know,
Right.
you're asking people that already give you money to give you more money. I don't get it. Marlboro never asked me to give them money to protect their industry. I have a Honda. Honda's never asked me to give them any more money than the cost of my Honda to protect them in fighting regulations. The gun manufacturers never asked me for money other than buy bullets, please, to protect gun rights in America.
Right.
Why should I ever feel obligated or be pressured into fighting for your business?
No.
Love 5 Ponds.
No.
So,
yeah, I don't get them anymore. I don't get Dark Side. Dark Side used to do nice stuff.
Dark Side?
Dark Side vapes, yeah.
I never heard of
Saskatchewan. Out of Saskatchewan.
Oh, well, they're Canadians. I don't know anything
Yeah.
about it. The only Canadian company that I know is Rope Cut.
Yeah, that's made in Montreal. That's made where I am.
Okay.
Go buy me a couple gallons of this and 12 milligram and send it to me, because this is my last emergency bottle of Rope Cut, and it is not sold anywhere in the United States that I can find. And it's a fucking tobacco.
Yeah, it is.
It's a damn good tobacco.
There's a few flavors that are good.
Yeah, this one is called Dark 30.
Hey, Janine.
Janine.
Oh, more trouble.
Or Janine, sorry.
Janine should be on here.
Yeah,
garbage.
She's been on here. CB, you are absolutely completely wrong, by the way. 5 Ponds makes all the way up to 18 milligram in some stuff, all the way up into 12 milligram in everything else. I don't know what you're talking about, ultra low. No. That's absolutely not true. I know. They do use synthetic nicotine, so it doesn't have much of a throat hit. But yes, they do. They do up to 12. And we know because they sponsor my fucking show. They paid for me to be here. I know what they make. You know, this is 12 milligram right here.
I've got some old 18.
And they did make it special just for me.
World.
But anyway.
At least once a week. Agreed, Peppa.
I want 12. I paid 12.
$36. $48. Look at
Buy nicotine and add it yourself. That's an awful thing to say. That is an awful thing to say.
But we're facing a flavor ban up here, and that's going to go through very soon.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I don't even want to think about all
it's
the
not
places.
even the flavor. It's more than a flavor ban. They're not telling the whole picture. They're going to ban certain ingredients in whatever flavors are left, and that's going to make it nearly impossible. So it's a de facto vape ban. Yes. I mean, they've already banned rebuildables in Canada because they're not childproof, which is completely ridiculous because a pack of cigarettes aren't childproof. A bottle of alcohol.
Well, I don't know how that works because they have the same stipulation that's not that the tank has to be childproof in Europe, and they still sell rebuildables. They just have to have certain features in them.
90% of Addies do not have any childproof feature.
Well, I know that the Aries does, and they're selling all over Europe. So I would imagine they could sell the Aries up there.
You got to push and turn this little tiny thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ivana, where are you in Canada?
Calgary.
Okay, I know all the vape shops in Montreal now, no rebuildables. And barely any building supplies left, if any.
There was a Saddle Horse Blues. That's her Twitter name. Somewhere middle of Alberta. I know when she had a sale,
Right.
I bought a couple of tanks.
I buy from what do they call Gas City Vapes in Medicine Hat,
Okay, yeah.
but pretty much all over Canada it's dried up. I mean,
Yeah, it's dried up. Yeah,
Yeah.
at one time you were searching the sales to
right.
find what you wanted, because I know I got a couple of the bunny rabbit ones. What are they called?
Right.
The bunny.
Dead rabbit, or whatever.
Yeah, dead rabbit. Nice vape actually.
Dead
Well,
rabbit.
the reason, Patrick, that I'm on U.S. sites, I mean, I don't, it's because everything you guys do, unfortunately, trickles across the border. We would not have a flavor ban. We would not have childproof BS. We would not have nicotine caps were it not for what's going on in the U.S.
Well,
That's
we
a
don't have
fact.
childproof BS here. That's a European thing. That's EU. That's that. I mean, that's a requirement. I mean, other than childproof caps.
Like if they had gone to the 2 mil tank, like in the EU, it would have been easier for the industry to adapt to. It would have been easier for the consumer to adapt to, because you wouldn't have these teeny tiny components you got to push and pull at the same time.
But I don't believe that the Canadian government's interested in any way, shape, or form of promoting vaping. Their own reports say they're going to drive vapors back to smoking. So there's no interest on our government's part to do anything. And I know the federal government, what they're going to do with this, they're going to bounce it back to the provinces so they don't look like the enemy to everybody, right? And then the provinces will going to ban vape. I mean, Nova Scotia has pretty much banned it already.
Yeah.
And the only thing this is going to do is create a black market where you're going to have unsafe products, primarily e-juice.
Yeah.
And eventually, and this is going to happen in the United States too, they're going to realize that they can't stop e-juice because of the DIYers. So that you're going to see nicotine become unavailable, and flavors. I wouldn't be surprised if flavors became either an additive put in them that makes them unusable in vaping, or you have to be a business to buy from a liquid.
Well, no, they can't do that because most of the additives that are being used in vaping are not specifically manufactured for vaping.
No, they're not. But
so the flavor houses, we'll just say that our product is not for vaping, and they can't. It is so widespread and used in so many. It's
used in food. It's
used
of course
in
it is.
Food, confections, in essences.
Right.
They can't add anything to it that would affect the air dispersal because they use them in wax. In these damn scented candle things. So it's the same. It's the same exact thing. So they're not going to do that. They've already. I mean, technically, they've already made nicotine impossible to find. I mean, technically, the PACT Act makes it illegal for them to ship nicotine. I'm not going to tell you where I buy my nicotine. If you want to know, I will private message me and I will tell you, but I will not say it out loud because I don't want them to get in trouble. But
Patrick is the source. Okay.
But, FDA did approve Logic and some tobacco flavored Logic this week, which, shows that they're moving around, right? This is progress, right? They approve something, so that means that they're doing their job, right?
Well, they approved cigarette flavor, as Grim Green said. It's not tobacco flavor; it's cigarette flavor.
So the agency permits marketing of certain tobacco flavor products, denies other products. Additional decisions on popular products expected soon. So here the FDA authorized several tobacco flavored end products from Logic Technology under the Logic Vape Leaf, Logic Power, and Logic Pro brands. These are non-refillable devices. These are sealed pods or sealed tanks. Dr. Califf says, as a cardiologist, I've personally seen the devastating health effects of tobacco use. So I'm highly motivated for the FDA to help reduce death and disability caused by these products. Which products? tobacco products. Anyway, we know that there is a demand among adult smokers to use e-cigarette products to try to switch from more harmful combusted cigarettes, but millions of youth are using these products and getting addicted to nicotine. The balance of these issues was considered by the agency's career scientists when evaluating the potential marketing of e-cigarette products. They have made great progress, and I know they will use the best available evidence with the most robust methods to ensure that products that continue to be marketed are appropriate for the protection of public health.
I don't even know why his comment is even in here, let alone highlighted and bold and bigger.
And bolded. See, here's the thing. When he was in this job before, he, here's the thing. I see Grim Green making, hopeful statements on Twitter. And I'm like, dude, we already know this guy. Yeah. We know him. Like, we've fought him. We know that he's anti-vaping. 6 months ago, he wrote a very negative vaping piece before he was up for this position. So we know, like, he's just blowing smoke up somebody's ass right now. He's trying to make you think that he cares. He's not allowing. So, back to the metric. How many kids are allowed to vape before it's okay to save 500,000 Americans a year?
A third of a child.
They are never going to say
that's one demerit.
They're never going to do that. They're never going
to
say, well, we understand that some kids are going to experiment with these products, but we really can't throw all the adults under the bus. That they're never going to say that.
No.
If this is the rate we're going to go in about 20 more years, they'll probably assume, from my point of view, that flavors are okay.
No, they're never going to say flavors are okay.
You don't think?
In the correct, they're okay.
Right.
I mean, it's anything other than tobacco flavor, because we do understand that tobacco is actually a flavor, right?
Cigarette flavor.
That tobacco, even cigarette flavored e-liquid is a flavored e-liquid, because nicotine, the nicotine is mostly flavorless. The VG and the PG is mostly flavorless with a little sweet. Like, I know some people that vape unflavored e-liquid and have for years, and they're fine with just that little sweetener. It's just got it's not even a sweetener. VG has a little bit of a sweetness to it.
And there's flavors in cigarettes. Lots and lots and lots of
lots and lots.
Lots and lots. So, yeah.
Addie says that his wife just crushed him in Mario Golf. Good for her. Good for her. So, yeah, if anybody, I don't know at any. We're going. Yes, VG is sweet. We're not giving up. Like, obviously, we're still going to be fighting for this, but they're not going to give up on the flavor thing, because apparently they believe that only kids like things that taste good.
Just the tobacco.
Like when you turn 18, your flavor buds die, and your taste buds die or whatever, and
you're just waiting on your brain to develop.
Cream of wheat, and you don't ever see an adult at a restaurant eating a triple chocolate cake for dessert, or one of those chocolate volcano things, or New York style cheesecake with berry glaze on top.
80,000 flavors at Starbucks.
There's not a video of some crotchety old bitch in California opening up her fucking Sub-Zero freezer to show fancy schmancy Italian ice cream. There's not a video of that.
No. There's no tweet of me bitching about it either, ever.
I apologize for using the word bitch in front of you, Ivana.
That's no worries. Yeah, you should hear what I call the Australian guy Hunt.
She expects no less of you.
But I'm British, and the cuss does come out sometimes.
Well, we have actual video of a very respectable young lady from Britain using the word clusterfuck.
That's classic.
Okay.
So just because, I'm Irish, we start cussing at like 18 months. So
it's a requirement.
Every time I see that tweet that says that the number of times you use the word fuck in a sentence tells how intelligent you are. Every time I see that, I'm like, yep, I'm a genius. I'm a fucking genius. Because I fuck all the time.
I swear on Twitter. Maybe I should.
I rarely do either. So you think?
No, I forever curse on Twitter.
They're not admitting guilt then, Patrick.
No.
They're just appeasing the 1%, the half of one.
You want to actually see somebody admit some guilt? Is that what you're saying?
It's not going to justify anything to me, but sure.
Okay, so Greg Conley, our very own friend Greg, tweeted something this week. This is from the SRNT 2022. This is K. Michael Cummings, longtime professor and expert witness for plaintiffs suing the tobacco industry, asked Rutgers University's Chris Del Nevo an easy question. Here was the question. What can SRNT attendees do to respond to some of the disinformation that seems to be coming from our colleagues? Now, I'm assuming that the colleagues that they are referring to are the SRNT 15. Do you think that that's actually a good guess?
No, that's what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm thinking too. But anyway, so let's spend a minute and 42 seconds on this.
I appreciate your talk. What can we do about science?
Wait. You see this chick? I'm not going to be ugly here, but I have to point this out. This person here is this person.
DeVelno or something like that.
Now look at this. I'm being very crass here. This, and I apologize in advance to all of the ladies in the room. This.
You always have your best picture on Twitter. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is.
What can we do about science and some of the disinformation that seems to be coming from?
Seriously, this is COVID weight. This is because of the pandemic. That's what I'm okay. Please stop me from being ugly.
That maybe aren't addressing some of the things that you were talking about and highlighting in your talk.
Thanks for the easy question, Mike. I actually considered when I was putting the talk together for kind of highlighting priority areas that we need to focus on, is some of the divisive debate that we are having amongst ourselves with regards to continuum of risk. I don't have any brilliant solutions to that problem, but I do think that collectively, if we are at least united in reducing tobacco-caused morbidity and mortality, we need to have some more honest conversations amongst ourselves. I think that, when you look at the COVID epidemic and some of the challenges that CDC in particular has had around messaging and risk communication, my worry is that as a group of scholars here, we are going to start losing, and I think we have already, credibility if we don't talk about the risks of various products in a way.
What?
Okay. So share that screen from the Victor screen for a second. This is, I'm assuming, Dr. King. You just heard what she said.
No, he's thinking.
He's thinking, right.
Yeah.
That's 3. You're wrong 3 times this year.
No. This is the same tweet we showed last week.
Right. I'm just for context in what she's saying. The second paragraph says, as a PhD student in the States, I often feel isolated because of my strong belief that e-cigarettes represent a public health opportunity. So she's saying there's divisiveness amongst ourselves, and he's clearly admitting that he feels isolated by that. And I'll let you continue that because it is a very important video from that. Thank you, sir.
I was worried that I was going to lose my space.
That reflects what the science says.
So, okay, let's go back here. Let's just go back a few seconds.
And I think we have already credibility if we don't talk about the risks of various products in a way that reflects what the science says.
So it could almost be interpreted that she says that we are misrepresenting the risks of certain products. Isn't that what she's not scientifically based, right? Is that everybody is everybody concurring with that?
Not an easy question, and I don't think there's an easy answer, but I think we have work to do.
We have work to do, which is a very it's a very left-wing thing, you know. They say, you know, we need to do the work about a lot of things, you know.
But Dr. Polosa just explained how out of control it already has been, and she's explaining we need to fix this because it's
because American science is bought and paid for.
100%.
So I mean, let's be clear. There's a reason why a PMTA is so expensive, because if we use American labs and American scientists to interpret the data, it's easily 10 times more expensive than when done in Europe or other parts of the world. Because in America, science is bought and paid for. So, you know, there's a reason why Dimitri, when he was doing his PMTA group, he was using a Greek lab because the prices were much more manageable. But, you know, again, scientists will conclude whatever you want them to conclude as long as your check is good. I don't know of any other way to say that.
How do you find it?
We have corruption amongst ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, when we even have people, I mean, come on, we've talked about this before. When we have people in the community attacking our own scientist because he found something that we should be concerned about because it said something bad about something that they like, we can't even be trusted. Our own people, you know, because God forbid if you like cinnamon vapes and Dr. F comes out with a study that says cinnamaldehyde is bad for you.
Well, we have to hang him by his toenails.
How dare he?
Yeah.
How dare he say that about my favorite red hot e-liquid?
But it's all in the dosage.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
But no, I mean, it was at unhealthy levels. If it's okay, let's put it this way. Cinnamon e-liquids used to be known for fogging plastic tanks and for cracking glass. I mean, I've been vaping long enough to tell you that when you would buy cinnamon flavored e-liquids, like it would do that to your fucking
well, I know it did that to my K-Fun. It cracked the Ultim tank.
If it'll fucking crack your tank, you probably shouldn't be inhaling it.
but
that's what I'm saying.
But wait, hang on. There's bean footage. So when I heard the word formaldehyde, I was familiar with the term. I didn't know it was in cigarettes.
It's in your blood.
All of a sudden, it's in vape, and I was like, "What?" Well, I didn't know it was in cigarettes at much lower levels.
Well, diacetyl?
No,
diacetyl is a non-starter. I mean, there's a reason why my friends that own flavor companies have just announced that they're bringing back their original fucking formulations because they just decided, fuck it.
Diacetyl, it's one thing. If it's in powder form and you're exposed to it for 20 years, it's extremely dangerous. But if it's in a liquid state, it's fine.
It's not even dioxide. that. It's not even that. So the concentration that was used in the popcorn factory was orders of magnitude higher than any other usage of that chemical anywhere else in the world. And that's why it's only found in a handful of people that worked in that one particular popcorn factory because their supervisors didn't make them wear rebreathers.
Right. No, I know that. But sorry.
Regardless, if we are espousing that we are trying to produce the safest product that we can possibly realistically make, removing diacetyl is simple. Chemically, it's simple to remove it. We should be trying to make these as safe as possible.
Right.
So I have no problem with people either marking. There was an e-liquid that I used to vape all the time. It was made by, God rest his soul, a guy had a company called Nicotine, had the absolute best vanilla custard tobacco ever. And he put right on the thing, this contains diacetyl.
There you go.
Informed consent. Right?
There you go.
I'm using this. I know that it's got diacetyl in it. I know that diacetyl theoretically could be harmful to my health. And I am making the choice as an informed person to use it anyway.
I could drown drinking this.
But if somebody the idea that we are trying to promote this is harm reduction, we should reduce as much of the harm as we humanly, realistically could or can.
Right.
So, that's fine. And there were some e-liquids that were tested. When I was with the vaping militia, we had an amazing strawberry custard e-liquid, and it was tested at like 30 times the level of what was in a cigarette. So when you say that there are e-liquid that there's diacetyl in cigarettes and in e-liquid that it's much lower, that's not true. Right. There were e-liquids on the market that were tested at super high concentrations. Right. Ours being one of them. And we immediately discontinued it, but it was absolutely amazing.
Higher. So Dr. Farsalinas and others that are doing what they do, their work is not for us to badger, it's for us to consume, or us to understand, and us to make a decision. If he tells me that this specific flavor that I have is probably just as bad as, then I'm going to go, I need to make a different choice, or I'm going to keep using this, whichever.
Yeah.
As long as I know the honesty from the source is honesty. Nothing more or less. I don't care who it's from, but he doesn't twist shit to make us think shit. He tells us what it is, and everybody at that point on that specific study, I'd say 80% of the feed was all to hang him. And I'm like, he's trying to tell us the truth. Leave him alone.
Yeah, he delivers the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly. Oh my God, they were ripping his ass.
Yeah.
Came out on top either way to me. So,
and that's why I have the deepest respect for him.
But yes, I mean, we have to be truthful to ourselves so that we don't inadvertently spread misinformation and get caught at it. So we have to be very careful when we say, oh, well, the diacetyl in e-liquid was not that high compared to what's in a cigarette. it's not true. Absolutely not true. So, if you don't know something for a fact, you shouldn't say something at all. Because, I know I was there when we got the lab results, and I'm like, oh, fuck, this is pretty damn high. And boy, do I love this e-liquid, but we discontinued. It was called Declaration. It was amazing. Baker White made it for us, and it was fantastic. But we couldn't, with a clear conscience, continue to sell it.
Right. And there's Andrew.
Yes, Andrew's here. Speaking of Andrew, hey, do you know that we have this thing that Andrew's company Vape Band makes for us? It is a tank protector vape band. I have one on my tank right here. If you look at my little window, it glows in the dark. It says #clusterfuck. And if you go to vapeband.com and you buy some of these, you can get 30% off with the coupon code sonoflibertyradio, no spaces. And they also have these really awesome Son of Liberty hoist the black flag wristbands, or if you have a billet box protector, because it'll fit right on the billet box just like that. Okay. It's multi-purpose. You could actually stretch it out and get it over the top of Kevin's head and let go of it and strangle him with it. But 30% off. You should try that.
The band should go on a world tour.
The band should. Maybe I'll get the band back together.
What is tank band? Oh, okay, never mind.
Vape band.
No, I thought it was a tank top for some reason.
No.
I was reading it wrong.
If you want a tank top, I will make you one. I'll put it on the Son of Liberty Radio t-shirt store.
Oh, okay.
This is the most recent design.
Well, because summer's coming.
Yeah, it is the current design that we were asked a couple weeks ago by Mowgli Vapes in the chat room to make a Mind Control Menace t-shirt. So I went and designed a graphic with our very good friend Bloomberg's face on it. He's trying to control you with his mind control glasses.
That's right.
And I'm actually currently wearing the shirt. See, look. Woo. It actually turned out quite good.
That's right.
It actually turned out quite good. I was happy with myself. I did something good for once. Anywho, this is the link. I will throw it into the chat room for the t-shirt store. Vapebands.com is for the vape bands. And this is the website, vapeband.com. But anyway, that is the fundraising portion of the show.
Okay.
Where were we? We did the SRNT video.
Yep.
Let's see, where are we going here? Okay, so you'll find this. This is another. So there's this guy. I found him this week. Somebody tweeted some video from this guy, Dr. Gabor Mate or Mate, or Mate. I'm not sure. It's got an E with a little accent, so I'm not quite sure. He's Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a Canadian addiction, stress, and childhood development expert. He has done a TED Talk, like our friend Dr. Mark Tyndall, who we've had on the show before.
Okay.
But he has an excellent piece of video that is on YouTube. It is titled "The Best Explanation of Addiction I've Heard," and this is on I really like the name of this YouTube channel, Fight Mediocrity. I really like that. But I suggest that people check that out. But also go give this man a follow. I'm going to throw his @ in the in the chat room, because I mean he's an addiction guy, but you know there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of overlap with what we talk about and the drug policy guys talk about. So let's spend a minute with his video.
East side of Vancouver, British Columbia is one of the world's ground zeros for addiction, in that in a few square block radius we have thousands of people injecting, inhaling and ingesting drugs of all kinds and paying dearly for it. These people are often outside the law, certainly beset by many medical problems due to injection drug use, including psychosis, including HIV, including hepatitis C, cancers. They die of overdoses. This is trench warfare, and the people that are the frontline soldiers dying from it are the people affected by addiction. So that's where I worked for 12 years. And what I learned could be summed up really very briefly by saying that addiction is not a choice that anybody makes, it's not a moral failure, it's not an ethical lapse, it's not a weakness of character, it's not a failure of will, it's just how our society depicts addiction, nor is it an inherited brain disease, which is how the medical tendency is to see it. What it actually is, it's a response to human suffering. And all these people that I worked with had been severely traumatized as children. All the women had been sexually abused, all the men had been traumatized, some of them sexually, physically, emotionally neglected. And not only is that my perspective, it's also what the scientific and research literature shows. So addiction then is actually, rather than being a disease as such or a human choice, it actually is, it's an attempt to escape suffering.
So, you know, we've talked about this particular topic a lot on this show. I mean, I don't want to flog a dead horse, but when we know that 40% of all cigarettes smoked are smoked by people with mental illness, people with depression, people that are neurodiverse, even if they're undiagnosed, we know for a fact, like all the evidence is there. 40% of all cigarettes that are smoked by people that are in those situations. Then we throw in the people that are not neurodiverse, but say are living with worrying about how they're going to buy food, how they're going to live, how they're going to pay their bills. Stress is a significant driver in all substance abuse. That has to be considered as well. So we're throwing in the 40%, and we throw in, another significant portion of people that are not educated, that are in poor socioeconomic situations, that are, food insecure. That's another huge number of people. I don't have a stat for that, but we can say, yes, that most people that use any substance, whether that's illicit drugs or nicotine or any other risky behavior, then, we have to consider that we need to, instead of attacking the people that use drugs, that use nicotine, that use things that are demonized, that we should probably find out why. So I don't know what CB, we're not there. Nobody is saying that the people that smoke are going to be drug users. I don't know what you're trying to get at. Nothing was said about that. There was no correlation made there. Yes, it is. Anywho, people that use nicotine because of something, whether that's, to relieve stress, whether it's because their brain works better with nicotine, whether that's, there's so many factors that include in why people use nicotine. It is a stimulant. It is a neuroprotectant. But smoking, which is still the number one way people get nicotine, is indeed dangerous. and risky. There are still more people that smoke than vape. We are still the minority. And yes, people that are traumatized smoke. We know that. I mean, we have all the data to prove that. The number one population of people in New Zealand that smoke are Maori women who live in a very traumatic environment. Their abuse numbers in that population are double, if not more, than their non-Maori counterparts. We had Dr. Glover on the show who brought that science to us. So yes, people in indigenous cultures, women in indigenous cultures smoke at higher rates than women in other backgrounds, other groups. So yes, addiction, whether, I don't like to use the word addiction because, again, addiction is dependency plus harm. I'm going to use Ivana's definition. But that is the word that, by and large, the general population, even the scientists, use when talking about nicotine. So we have to use their words. Kevin, you're muted.
What?
I said you were muted.
Oh, I was muted. I was answering a question. I don't even like you. What do you want? Somebody was making sure we covered the CoEHAR study.
We already did. Yes, it's at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
We read almost the entire thing. It was boring, actually, but still read it. So yes, when discussing substance use, when discussing addiction, we have to understand why people use. And the only reason I bring this up is because we've demonized substance use. We've demonized vaping. We've demonized nicotine to the point where we have stories like the one that's being widely circulated today in our wonderful community. If I can find the link to it here, I'll use this one. This is one that somebody sent me. This is Atlanta Uncensored. It's Atlanta News. It's muted right now. But here, it says here, cops seen tasering a teenager at the 4th Ward skate park for allegedly vaping. Did she abuse her power and take it too far? So we have pictures. We have video of these assholes. I mean, not only have we talked about kids being strip searched forcibly at school, and everybody except for the parents, lots of people, there was, no outrage or very little outrage except for here. Like 25 people sent me this, Mallory. So obviously we have to play it. So we don't see in this video this kid vaping. I found no news source on this other than this particular video from ATL Uncensored. Now, when we were showing videos of people being abusive on planes, now I did hear him say something about vaping.
That looks fake, though.
Well, again, I have not been able to find any.
Because the bystander is so calm. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, this one here?
Yeah. Would you be that calm if someone was being tased in front of you? Look at him.
Well, here, put it this way. We showed video of kids getting tased on the boardwalk with people walking by in Maryland, and nobody did anything except for a few people that were his friends that were there. But by and large, there were other people just standing there watching. So it is quite possible that, as inhumane as it appears that we have become, that there it could quite well be that that's not a white kid, by the way.
No, it's a black kid.
Yeah, it's a black kid. We've not found any video of white kids being tased at all for vaping. None.
No.
None. And I think when we covered the last vaping story, I was like, yeah, they would never do that to me when I was a kid because I was white. Not to get too social justice warrior on it, but that, yes, it's by and large.
Well, either way, it's wrong. It's just wrong.
No, it is absolutely wrong. I mean, George Floyd, if it was a white guy, he would never have died. I mean, let's be clear. If it was a white guy, it wouldn't have happened the way it happened.
I agree with Yolanda.
I always agree with Yolanda.
She wants a cluster. I don't say the
word.
She
wants a cluster fuck vape tank or
tank top.
Tank top. Oh, shirt.
Ooh. Oh, that's easy. See? I can make that quick. I can make that quick. But yes, we have to be aware that there is a huge, horrible, like, brainwashed populace out there that are quite happy to be lied to and to be led around by a ring in through their nose. When I see these when I see these people that have nose rings, and I'm like, you do realize that we do that to animals so that we can drag them around.
No, to each their own. They're not doing it. It's it's their statement.
That they're willing to be led around by the nose.
I grew up in the 80s where there was girls who had earrings all the way around.
I know women that are in their 50s that have multiple earrings here. This is not necessarily a sign that they'll be willing to be led around. This is a sign. Maybe it's just because I'm a farm. Maybe it's because I'm a farm. I
don't get it. I don't get it either. But to each their own.
Yep. I'm going to leave you with what I said a minute ago. It's funny how high virtue and standards from the NGOs are selective or stunningly contrived and non-existent. I can't tell because nobody from any of those groups has said, hey, stop doing that. We're wrong. We don't mean it that way.
And yes, Bill makes a point. He says, understandable if the bystanders stayed close, but didn't move in to help because he'd have gotten his ass tased too.
Right. Comply. It's you have to comply with authority. Yeah. We just told you, so you do what you're told. The other kid looked like he was standing. He wasn't trying to come at her, but whatever. We don't know the whole story.
May not have even known the person. May have just been there.
That's true.
Just walking by.
We don't know.
I'm just doing my thing, officer. Got my skateboard.
So freaking sad.
Don't tase me, bro.
But it's sad.
It is awfully sad. Yes. So we have another educational video to play.
I'm laughing at Gray J and these comments.
All right. So this is Rome. I want to say Rome, Georgia.
Okay.
Yes, Rome, Georgia. So local fire, two ladies working at the local county fire department have put together an educational video or educational program. Did I unshare?
She's got.
Did I unshare that? Let me reshare that. People keep dinging me while I'm on the fucking show. After repeatedly telling you, do not message me during the show. It's distracting me. Stop it. Anyway.
As young as second grade.
Yes.
Give me a break.
So there's a video. And I know that there's a commercial. So I'm going to mute the commercial.
Well, isn't it? Oh, that's okay. That's a drill.
Yeah, I have issue with ad blockers. I don't have one, and I don't want one because Somebody that I know got their fucking computer hacked by installing free stuff on their computer, and I don't do it.
Oh, you're leaving, Kevin?
Yep.
Yes, he has a place to go.
Okay. I got somebody to go.
We only got one more thing to cover.
Give a hug to the grandchild.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
See, I won't send a hug to the grandchild because he looks just like you, and I don't want to imagine hugging you.
I've already tried to show him who you are, so he's gonna know.
Yeah,
he's not gonna like you either.
He will, because I'm gonna make fun of Grandpa in front of him, and he'll love it.
Well, that's true. Yeah, he'll like that.
All right. So anyway, let's watch this real quick.
Okay. We launched this program 1st of February. We were trying to add a new program to our fire and life safety education program that we already have. But we had a huge need on the electronic cigarettes. We've heard several things from different educators in the school system and parents as well. And so we knew it was a high demand because this class it's not being taught anywhere locally here in Rome. So we took that and we contacted CDC, and we actually took some Zoom classes from the director that's over.
They took some Zoom classes from the CDC, and that makes them experts on vaping.
The tobacconist department there, and then also got certified in Catch My Breath, which is from the Discovery Health. And really we started that in August, right? Yeah. So we've been working on this program since last August, but we launched it in February. And we launched it through 5th grade because we have a 5th grade level 5 class that we teach each month at every 5th grade class throughout Rome and Floyd County. So we launched it in there first, and then we moved it into the middle school and high schools as well. The class is 100% fact, like it's truth. And we teach the health hazards.
So they have to justify. The class is 100% fact. It's truth. Like, it's almost like you feel guilty because there's like a reason why. If you have to justify even before presenting the information, that means you have doubts, right? That's clearly something. Oh, well, this is fact. This is truth.
But also the fire hazards as well. And it has been a very positive. It's been really positive throughout our community, and the schools that we go to, we talk to them.
This one over here on the left ain't even talking. She's just here shaking her head.
It's like good cop, bad cop kind of look.
Well, this is like talkie cop, no talkie cop. I mean,
administrators,
Penn and Teller
first, and also the school resource officers. And so we have an agreement with them that while we're teaching, we actually give an opportunity at the end of the class where if students want to turn in their electronic cigarettes, which everybody calls them vapes, but if they want to turn those in to us, they can with no punishment, nothing like that. And we've had several students that have turned them in because they during the class they've actually learned the real ingredients in them, and they no longer want to have anything to do with them. So it's been a really great program so far.
Wait. So they took a class on Skype from the CDC, and they took an online class from the Discovery Health, and now they know what's in vape. When politicians all over the world are repeatedly standing in front of Congress or in their countries, not just here, we don't know what's in them, but all of a sudden these women took a class from the CDC and they know all the stuff to tell kids what's in them, and kids don't want to use them anymore. I need to talk. I need to debate these women.
With us, there's 2 of us, and there's 100,000 people in Roman Floyd County. So yeah, we partner and we split up and share it and try to teach as many as we can this program. And I think part of what we were aiming for was to let them know, yes, the fire hazards from it,
Yes.
but then as we were researching it, we found out the dangers health-wise to it. And so since we are fire and life safety, that fell into the category of life safety with us. So we started pushing both of it, and it really has gone bigger than we thought it would. It's the principals and teachers, they're busy. When they can start contacting us and asking for the program, that's when we know that it's hit somewhere out there that it needs to be. And that's what's happened right now.
Right.
It's a sad situation that it's needed, but we're glad we can be part of maybe making the change or causing this problem to go away. And it's only, while we were talking about, Shasta talked about the principals are allowing and staff are allowing the students to turn their vapes in. It's a one-time thing. When we're there and we're teaching and we have their permission, that's when they can do that. Otherwise, they know better than to have it on campus.
Yes. And also one of the things that we teach is about consequences and decisions in life. So we tie all that in with it and talk about how, the decision to use an electronic cigarette has a consequence, and that consequence can be being caught with it at school and being disciplined for that, and the consequences of how the effects, not only affect you now, but later on in life, because the research, it's such a newer item. They don't know all of the research on how it does affect your lungs down the road. So we teach them.
What research? Yeah, we teach them. These are women that are firefighters, and God bless them for being firefighters. But talking about scientific stuff that you have no credentials in, that is way outside of your area of expertise. And especially if you're talking about long-term health effects of something that no science has shown any long-term health effects, because the same assholes that we're fighting constantly are saying these haven't been out long enough for us to know any long-term health effects. So your
presumption,
you're fabricating. You're fabricating. So yes, they should definitely stick to doing what the job of a firefighter is. It should definitely not be misrepresenting CDC evidence, because CDC is one of those same people that say we don't know what's in them, or we don't know what the long-term effects are because they haven't been out long enough. So how can you be talking about long-term health effects in lungs when the so-called experts don't even claim to know?
And that's the sad part.
Yeah.
Last winter, I was at a Zoom thing, and it was like the city councilor and was talking about a building that they were building on one of the First Nations here, like a shopping sort of place. And part of the interview was talking about other things within Calgary. And they had this like Calgary Police Interpretive Center, and how it was new and how they were trying to help Indigenous people into this. And they were showing this one clip where it was street drug focused on bad things for 12-year-olds to avoid. And within that stretch, they mentioned nicotine vaping along with fentanyl and all of these other hard drugs. And I couldn't tell you how pipped right off I was overhearing that.
Mm-hmm.
You're dictating to 12-year-olds that nicotine vapes are up there with fentanyl.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, yeah, we talked about, obviously, the video we showed you, the video of the kid being tased.
Oh, yeah.
Either today or yesterday. So, okay. So here's a story from February 15th. This is school officials asked students to strip down to their underwear so they could be searched for vape cartridges. This was 6 female teenagers. So then we have San Jose High School locks bathrooms due to vaping, and you had to get permission to go to the bathroom here. Then we have this story. It says, this is the Montreal woman. That is not acceptable. Montreal mom furious. Son told to drop his pants at school during search for vaping products. And this was, I want to say, in like November of last year. This is the viral video that we talked about earlier of the kid getting tased on the boardwalk, which was, I want to say, last September. Here's the Auckland principal defends photo of her checking toilet cubicle to see if students vaping. This is the school principal that stuck. This is from June of 2021, New Zealand, of the principal sticking her camera phone under the toilet stall door so that she could peek in and see if what the girls were doing in the bathroom. These,
I'm sorry.
You know, this is an ongoing. I mean, thank God I don't have kids that I know of, because if I did, and one of them came home and told me, "Hey, the pervy principal made me strip down to my underwear," I would go off. Like there would be no. I mean, I don't have kids, and I'm like already possessive of other people's kids. You know what I'm saying? But if it was my kid, I would be kicking somebody's door in. I would be like, how I would be I would take you to the police station myself and press charges. That is, as far as I'm concerned, assault. But according to the state that the 6 girls were strip searched in, perfectly legal. Because it doesn't qualify as a strip search because they were allowed to keep their underwear on. Now, Ivana, you're a woman.
Yes.
When you were a teenage girl, if a person of authority took you and put you in a private room and stood there and said, "Take your clothes off."
Oh, my mom would have gone insane.
I'm just talking about what it would do to you.
She would have gone insane.
What would have done to you?
Oh, it would have psychologically damaged me.
I mean, seriously, an adult.
You know, it's a form of sexual abuse in a way.
Exactly. And we're supposed to be so aware, so high thinking today in our modern society. We have, all these different movements. We had the just saying no was worthless. It didn't mean anything. But Me Too, which was something that happened in the last couple of years. Always believe a woman. That's one of those things that we always have to support women. And I do. I'm not being a smart ass here. But we live in a society where we are hyper protective of kids. When I was a kid, I did something wrong. My mama was going to beat my ass.
Yeah, you got shit. Yeah.
Like nowadays, a parent can't even do that because we're so hyper protective of children now that behavior being corrected by your adult, the adult responsible for you, is so horrible now. I'm saying that parents should be able to spank their kid. No, there's a difference between spanking and beating.
Beating, yeah, exactly.
I'm not advocating for parents being allowed to beat their child, but yes, some physical punishment is actually helps us not make those same mistakes again. It is a form of correction that has been used for millennia. That's how you keep kids from running away in a parking lot and getting run over by a car. Because the moment that I let go of my mom's hand when we were walking in a parking lot, I was going to get my ass beat because she didn't want a car running over me. I'd rather get spanked than run over by a car.
Tom made me laugh. Okay.
Who made you laugh? Tom
Tom. Yeah, one of his comments.
Because he said covered in poos?
Well, because they were talking about the cell phone being put under the bathroom stall while someone's peeing.
Yeah. We can projectile pee that, some women don't have the ability to projectile pee, but
Okay. All right.
Boys do. We can aim it sometimes.
But
okay. Yes, we live in this hypersensitive situation. However, and again, not being an asshole here, but I'm going to make an example that I think that. So we have a group of people who claim that the developing the brain, the human brain is not fully developed until 25.
Okay.
And we have a group of people, that same group of people, who argue that we should allow kids as young as 16 to vote. Their brain's not developed, but they should be allowed to vote. Now, and I'm just using this as an example. That same group of people are now advocating that children as little as 8 should be able to make life-altering decisions about taking hormone blockers, for example, so that they can go through sexual reassignment surgery at the age of 8.
Not touching that subject.
Now, these same people are arguing that the human brain is not developed until 25, but they've moved the bar for certain things that they agree with. Which, okay, so is it are they able to make decisions at 8? Are they able to make decisions at 16? Like, voting is a very important, all of these things are very important. Don't get me wrong. I'm just using these as examples of them moving the bar of when people are able to make decisions. So all of those things, all of them are important. But again, are they capable of making decisions emotionally and long-term at 8, at 16, or 25? What is it? Or 18? I'll throw 18 in there too.
Yeah. But again, if their brain is not developed until they are 25, why are they serving their country at age 18?
Why can they get a credit card? Why can they take how can they take a bank loan out to buy a car? Student loans, they have to sign papers at 18 for student loans. I had to. So where is it? Tell me, please, at what age is it okay for them to make serious, long-lasting, lifelong decisions?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you willing to just say that the government should make all decisions for you? No. Because that's where I'm telling you, we had Dr. Roberto Sussman on either on this show or on the Scope show, and he was like baffled. He's from Mexico. He's baffled that the land of the free and the home of the brave is allowing all these vape bills to go through, because it's America. It's about freedom, right? And I'm like, and I responded to him. I said, Doc, you do realize that most of the people in America have agreed to hand over the responsibility of raising children, of making decisions, of basically
they forgot how to parent,
because they've forgotten how to make their own decisions and be responsible for their own choices. They're like lemmings that will follow the leader off the cliff now. Like, they are really at the point where they're voluntarily handing away their freedoms. And then I'm a bad guy for saying, no, I want to fight for my freedoms. It's weird. Weird. David's just down there quietly observing. He's got Heisenberg like hanging over his head. Or is he frozen? I can't tell.
No, I'm moving, and I'm just observing.
He's got the Heisenberg over his head. It says something, but I can't read what it says.
I'm not in danger. I am the danger.
Oh. I actually like that. I never watched that show though.
I never did either until people started coming up and taking my picture.
Your beard's not dark enough.
No, I know. I've made myself not look so much like him. No, you have no idea, Patrick. It was ridiculous. I couldn't go anywhere without people swarming me.
Janine's throwing in Janice lyrics. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. That's a good song. But yeah, so other than what we've already covered, there's a bunch of stories about, obviously, there's a couple, I didn't even include them in the show notes, but there's a couple states here in the States that are, they've got proposed flavor bans. They've got, they're wasting legislative time by trying to pass T21, even though it's already federally T21. I don't understand why politicians want to waste time.
Ontario's trying to do that.
They're wasting hours and if not even days on legislation that has no purpose. It is already illegal for anyone under the age of 21 in the United States to purchase or buy or possess vaping products. So why are you going to all the trouble of having it included in your state's laws when it is already illegal? You got all sorts of other very high priority bills that you should be passing and looking to. Why waste time on these state? I mean, I know what it is. It's politicians want to be able to look at their constituents and say, I protected your kids from the thing that it was already illegal for them to have.
But they're going to be an adult a lot longer.
There is a succession. There's 4 different articles from 4 different places about local and state law enforcement doing sting buys of vapor products. So we're just going to do one. I'm just going to cover one. So this is Wilson County, the sheriff's office. He cites they're citing 11 businesses for selling vaping products to minors. And before you say, well, those are all convenience stores. They're not. There's some tobacco outlets, which a bunch of these tobacco outlets used to be vape shops and either converted to hybrid tobacco CBD vape stores or all out vape stores. So anyway, this is Wilson County, Tennessee. More than 10 Middle Tennessee businesses have been cited for selling nicotine to underage consumers or customers. On Tuesday, Wilson County Sheriff's Office, Lebanon Police Department, and Mount Joliet Police. Mount Joliet is Andy Griffin's show. Mount Juliet Police Department all worked together to search out businesses that violated age restrictions on nicotine products, particularly vape products. The Sheriff's Office says participants who took place in the operations were adults over the age of 18, but not yet 21, and not eligible to purchase the product. This joint effort will hopefully curb the sales of those under the age of 21. Our school resources officers are dealing with these issues daily in our high schools and even middle schools. Since the beginning of this current school year, we have confiscated approximately 250 vape products from our students, and a high percentage of them are buying these from local businesses. So here's a list. So there's a hemp store, there's a convenience store. This is a hemp store, Evolve Smoke Shops, Barter Discount, Jerry's Market, all these different Diamond Vape and Smoke. So you get to see there's a plethora. And this is just one story from one place in Tennessee. There's 3 other ones that are included in the show notes from different places that are not, there's no overlap. So we've been saying this for a while. And I've always been saying this, obviously FDA publishes a list of their sting sales. But these are local law enforcement sting sales that will not be included on the FDA list. But these are actually a blend of tobacco shops, vape shops, and CBD stores. And I see at least one convenience store on this list. So be on the lookout if you're in the industry. And you know what? I have a zero tolerance. give a fuck for these people. I have no sympathy for you. It's very simple. Your shit makes everybody else look bad. So this 100%. Is 11. This is 11 businesses. Some of them not in our industry. Some of them just selling these, but at least one is a vape shop. Couple of them are hybrid stores, CBD and hemp stores. Delta 8. Is Delta 8 legal in Tennessee? I guess it is. But
what is Delta 8?
It is a different cannabinoid.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm old. I'm
cannabinoids.
I'm old.
CBD is a general purpose umbrella for cannabinoid. Delta 8 is a specific cannabinoid. Cannabinoid. I can never say that word right.
Okay.
I don't really dig it. I mean, if it makes you feel good, fine. I don't care.
I don't understand it.
I'm not fighting for your industry, though. I'm fighting for nicotine vaping, by the way. But yeah, combined, I think I counted over those 4 articles. It's something like 28 businesses, some of them purely vape shops, across like 4 different states. So they're, even if FDA doesn't do it, these local law enforcement guys are, and they've been doing it. So yes, I believe every product, every one of these stores, whether it's nicotine vaping, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's cigars, whether it's any kind of tobacco, CBD, hemp, and all that stuff, you should be swiping fucking IDs for every sale. And I'm not talking about looking at the card. Get an electronic swiper and swipe every fucking ID. There is a pennies on the sale, like 25 cents or something per scan. It doesn't matter, because if you have that, you have an electronic verification on every sale. You get fined one time in some of these states. In California, it's like 30 grand or something like that. It's an extremely expensive to get caught selling to a kid in California. Yeah, that electronic ID verification covers your ass. I mean,
I would say thank you if they ask me for
every
ID.
big chain C store in Texas that I know of swipes IDs for every cigarette, regardless of how old you are. This is because they're not stupid, and they've apparently walked the plank before. But thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We've covered all the stuff that we were going to cover. And Kevin's gone now, and you're still here, but I don't have anything else to talk about.
It's okay.
And my earplugs are starting to hurt my ears. I have very delicate ears.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yes, it was fun. It was nice meeting you, Dave, because Dave's always in the
nice
chat
to
room.
meet you too.
We've never seen David before. Now we see David. He looks apparently like Heisenberg. And he's a very passionate Canadian vapor who doesn't like the Canadian government, apparently, because he's said some very critical things about it. Say some bad things about Trudeau.
I don't vote party. I vote policy.
Exactly.
So if a political party has a good policy, I'll vote for them. So I don't just stick conservative or liberal.
That's probably the best thing.
No,
I mean,
because
the best politician that I've seen in the last year gave a speech. It was a Democrat, gave a speech at CPAC, which is the Conservative Political Action Committee. I played the fucking video on the show because I just fell in love with everything she said. I mean, obviously she's a fucking politician and she could have just been blowing smoke up my ass, but I still enjoyed everything she said. Doesn't mean I'm going to vote for her if she runs for office in a place that I can vote for her for, because I need to do obviously more research when that comes to pass. But I loved everything that she said when she was at CPAC.
Well, that's the thing with politicians. They always say what you want to hear, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my local MP, she lied right to my face about when I just was discussing vaping with her. I'll never forget that. First and only time I've ever spoken face-to-face with a politician. She lied through her teeth. It was disgusting.
Well, now, I mean, I've spoken to several, more than a few politicians over the years. I've been in Ted Cruz's office and squarely looked at that scary looking man in the face. And he's told me that he would never vote for anything that would restrict my right to vape. And so far, he hasn't. So far. But again, he's a lying politician, so I fully expect to be disappointed at some point in the future. Technically, I guess I could say he did vote for the omnibus package that just happened. I think he voted for it. I need to go check. And technically, there's language in there that did indeed mess me up, but he never read it, which I should hold. I think we should just dog on every politician that signs single legislative packages 3,500 pages that they never had in their hands early enough to read a portion of. Like they introduced that package and voted on it in one day. I guarantee you none of them read all 3,500 pages. So I think they should just outlaw omnibus bills in general.
Yeah,
I think Donald Trump, when he gets reelected, and I'm not saying that because I want him to get reelected, but I have a feeling he's going to get reelected because of just the way the country has fallen in the last couple of years, and people are already fed up with Joe Biden. That it's going to be a boomerang and people are going to vote for Trump again. And
then your democracy's gone.
I don't see. I
didn't think Trudeau would get back in. But
having lived through good presidents and bad presidents, from Nixon was president when I was born. I remember Jimmy Carter being president of the United States. We lived through that. People make grandiose statements like what you just made about the death of American democracy. I think it's a lot of hyperbole.
Oh, definitely hyperbole. But you know what? What's happening now has been going on for a long time. It's just coming to fruition. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, obviously the way, and again, we are not a true democracy. We're not, the United States was never a democracy.
No, you're a capitalist society.
No, we are a democratic republic. So in a democratic republic, that's, again, in a social studies, civics platform, it's a representative democracy, which means that we elect somebody to represent us for city council, for, if it was a true Roman democracy, every citizen could go to the Capitol and stand there and speak in front of the open quorum. And as long as there were a certain number of people there, Rome could pass laws based on a certain percentage of people that were just sitting in that room. That's a democracy. That is a pure democracy. No government on the fucking planet is a pure democracy. People throw that word around like they actually know what it means. That is not what any government on the planet is based on anymore. Now, back in old-timey days, when the population was much less, it's possible. But whoever's there for 4 years is who's there for 4 years. No policy that any president has ever enacted has destroyed a country. Not all at once. Now, if we look at America, Canada, some people would argue Germany, Russia, the Philippines, the vast majority of countries on the planet are right now, in the last 8 years or so, have been led by idiots. Angela Merkel, I would debate whether or not she's an idiot. There are people that do believe that she is. Macron in France, people would debate that he's an idiot too. Duterte in the Philippines is an all-out fucking murderer, admitted murderer, and he's still president. So I mean, when we're pointing fingers at countries that have horrible leaders, like, just make sure you have enough fingers, because it looks like almost every country in the world is led by an idiot. Boris in the UK. So I think we're all kind of fucked for at least the next couple years. I don't know enough about Trudeau to claim that he's an idiot, but I know a lot of people that do. I'm sure that there's Bill in the chat room might have an agenda.
There's no good choice up here. That's the problem.
Really same thing.
Choice.
Well, that's what we're going to get stuck with in this next election in the United States, is if the Democrats don't want to be perceived that they're throwing Biden under the bus. So they're going to either try to figure out a way to make him voluntarily not run for re-election.
Well, he's too old to run for re-election.
He's
going to be lucky if he makes it through this term.
He'll make it through this term. They got him hooked up to machines and stuff at night right now anyway, so. But God forbid we get his vice president as the headliner on the next ticket. That's not going to happen. If that would guarantee a Republican victory.
No, that's not going to happen.
Even Democrats ain't going to vote for her.
Yeah, she's very unpopular.
Yeah,
I graduated from the same high school as her. She's very unpopular. She won't go anywhere after this term.
Well, yeah, Bill says the worst for the U.S. is that we really only have two parties to choose from, so all decisions will always be one-sided rule. So we're going to see obviously in November we have midterm elections. That does play a key role in how the Congress works for the next 4 years, or the next 2 years until the midterms happen again. But if the Republicans can edge out and take a couple seats in the Senate, which it does look like it could possibly happen, then that completely changes the way things work for 2 years. Now, what will inevitably happen if the Republicans take the lead in Congress, if they take the majority in Congress, the converse is going to happen in 2 years when the midterms happen again. If we elect a Republican president, there's going to be a bunch of people that will vote for Democratic congressmen, so that one party doesn't have the majority in all of the divisions. So then we've got a Supreme Court where the conservatives already have a slight lead. Yeah. So it's just going to be like a situation of does a different semi-popular Republican run against Trump?
If you want an outsider's prediction,
the most popular Republicans have already said they will not run against Trump.
Oh, I think DeSantis or Liz Cheney is going to run against him.
DeSantis has already stated multiple times he will not run against Trump.
We'll see.
Because I have a feeling that Trump is going to pick him to be VP. And if that happens, that's a super ticket. And Liz Cheney has no fucking support. She's seen as a Republican in name only. She won't run. And if she runs, she'll get crushed. Not even normal conservative, like moderate conservatives would vote for her. So.
I really don't think Trump's going to run, though. I don't think his health is going to allow him to. And I don't even think his ego will allow him to.
Because he's already doing massive rallies.
No, of course he is.
State to state right now. He's running.
Of course he's doing that to raise money. I mean,
he doesn't because it's election money. Any money that he raises in those events, he can't spend personally.
Okay.
And obviously his campaign finances are under a microscope. So yeah, no, he will run for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. Somebody just sent me a caricature of Trudeau.
I think that the whole world changing as we speak. So I think that.
Well, we could be in the middle of World War III.
I think so.
I hope not.
Oh, I pray not. I mean, I used to be in the military. I know what could happen very easily.
Oh no, my mother is 75 years old. I talked to her on the phone the other day. She's like, I'm really worried. And I said, about what? I think that Putin's going to invade Poland. And I said, well, my prediction is, or my thoughts on the matter are, he's not that. I mean, he's obviously, there's some shit going on in his brain right now, but he's not stupid enough to give the order to his generals to say invade Poland. Because if he invades Poland, we have mutual defense treaties with, because they're a NATO member.
It's Article 5. If one country in NATO is attacked, it's considered an attack on all countries.
Yes. So I think he's not going to invade Poland.
Right.
He's not going to invade Belarus because they're allies.
He controls it.
He's been letting, Belarus has been letting people in. Every one of those other neighboring countries are NATO countries. So it's not happening. If he does, the moment that happens, though, his own generals will try to assassinate him. And Russia has a history of displacing leaders that they don't agree with. So it would be a Romanov execution. I've been to Russia. I know plenty of people in Russia. They're fine with being downtrodden, just eking out what they can eke out. But when you push them to a certain point, they will resist. And when they do, don't get in their fucking way. So the moment he makes the order to invade Poland, his own generals will fucking depose him.
I think he's on the verge of doing something incredibly stupid because he's pulling back his troops around Kiev. I think they're going to do something incredibly stupid. Well, either use a chemical, biological, or a nuclear weapon.
I mean, really, there's a way to engineer that to his benefit, actually. If he had hit those, because we know that there's 4 biological labs. There's 4 biolabs in the Ukraine, whether they're American funded, which is, one of the rumors, but there are 4 known Bio 5 labs in the Ukraine. Something bad happens, and any one or multiples of those labs and lets out any number of BL5 bugs could wipe out the Ukraine in a very short amount of time. And then it would spread to the neighboring countries. That is an awful scenario that is reasonable that could happen because some of those labs have not shut down. So, but every fucking satellite that we have is focused on Ukraine right now. So if he uses a nuke, we're going to know it.
Well, of course we'll know it.
And, a suitcase-sized nuke, I'm sure, I guarantee you the CIA probably has one in a fucking locker in a train station in Leningrad or in somewhere that will be easily moved to a closer location.
Now you know what you're talking now. I mean, that would be like the end of the world.
Yes. I mean, we have a policy supposedly of not using our assets to assassinate. Somebody put in the chat room time for SEAL Team 6 or SAS or Mossad. The Jews ain't going to jump in there unless they have to.
No, it has to be his own people. His own people have to take him out. It can't be. It can't be anybody in the West. Because Anyone? Yeah, exactly. If anyone in the West takes them out, that's it. That's World War III right there.
No, the GRU, there's no longer a KGB. FSU, any of those could do it. Their own military, like I said, he's probably got people watching people, trying to cover his ass, because if he makes a stupid choice, and now we're scaring Janine. Let's not scare Janine anymore. I got a funny video to play to make Janine happy.
Who taught you how to do this stuff? You, all right? I learned it by watching you.
Yes, that is a picture or a video of a crab smoking. Watch it again. The crab actually puts the cigarette to its mouth.
Who taught you how to do this stuff? You, all right? I learned it by watching you.
That's Pave's fault.
That's sad.
Or this one.
It's not fair! It's not fair!
That's funny stuff right there. Yes, smoked crab. Good stuff. But anyway, Janine says she's going to go watch RuPaul's Drag Race. Go ahead. We're going to go to bed. So I appreciate you guys coming.
Pleasure.
It was sort of a let people come in. And neither one of you were too distracting, so I didn't kick one of you out because I said only one person at a time. Dave just kind of sat back and absorbed and threw in a barb here and there. So it was awesome. Janine did send me, I don't know if I'm allowed to show this, so I don't know that I should show it or not, but Janine's very artistic. I'm going to show it anyway. Because there's a caricature of Trudeau smoking a J. Because we were talking about Trudeau.
But he doesn't inhale.
I did not inhale.
Well, none of them inhale.
Exactly.
I did not have sexual what was it? I did not have sex with that woman. She had sex with me, but I didn't have sex with her.
It's good work if you can find it, right?
That's what he said.
I know. I remember.
It depends on what your definition of sex is.
But then all the hypocrites came out to go after him, and they were doing the same thing. Newt Gingrich had his little squeeze on the side at the time, didn't he?
Well, I'm sure that some of them have little. I had a friend that was a congressional page. Between his sophomore or senior year in high school and his freshman year in college, and he had some pretty scary stories to tell. So yeah.
I could tell you some great stories about a former prime minister here in Canada.
Nah, I don't need to know that. Yeah.
I won't mention it on air, never. But whoa, boy.
But all right, guys, y'all have a great weekend.
Good night.
Stay out of trouble. Have some fun, and if you enjoy trouble, go ahead and get into trouble. We'll see you in 7 days.
I'm a good girl.
I don't believe that.
I am.
Methinks the lady doth protest too much. But anyway, have a great one. We'll see you in 7 days. Let's say goodbye with Victor Altek's wife.
I'd like one of you bureaucrats out there to look me in the eye and tell me, when does my husband's life matter to you? Because it matters every day, every second of every day to me.